I think today we're going to talk about angels, and what's kind of prompted us to talk about angels is that we've seen, certainly when we did our podcast on Doreen Virtue's claims that her angel cards and everything like that was evil or nonsense now, we had a lot of feedback from people who said, well, we've got spirit guides who are Metatron or Archangel Michael or things like that. And it really raised a lot of thought and a lot of discussion between myself and Ian. So what we wanted to do in this podcast is really to kind of give you an insight of why we think essentially your spirit guide would not be Archangel Michael or Metatron or any of the other angels. The reason, and this has come through our knowledge and experience of both, the Judeo-Islamic mythology or Kabbalistic texts and things like that I've gone through, and also Ian's experiences as well with the Spiritualist Church and also the teachings that he's gone through. It's great to talk to you again, Ian, as well, by the way.
Likewise, Martin. It's always nice. And hello, everybody. It's nice to be talking and chatting in this way. Your feedback is important. Please keep it coming in. When you talk about the sort of the spiritualist point of view, there are two avenues open that are very much spiritualist orientated. There's the mainstream spiritualism, and then there's the Christian spiritualism, which is derived, you're looking about the 1930s, and basically their sort of premise is to have the Christian elements coming together with speaking through speaking with mediumship, with the sort of permission of Jesus and of God, whereas the mainstream spiritualists, the Spiritualist National Union, then it sort of comes over as non-denominational. So you will go to a spiritualist church, and there is no trapping of crucifixes or whatever. The Lord's Prayer isn't said because it wants to be open to people, so they don't feel, oh, I'm coming here and I'm being taught Christian values. So it is open to all, but there is still that little reference with, I dare say, the older generation coming over, where it's still a belief of angels, because a lot of people have joined the Spiritualist Church coming from maybe the chapel, the Methodist Church, where there's still a Christian influence with them, which isn't a bad thing. Please don't think I'm having a go at Christian belief. The SNU take away from angels, they don't talk about them.
SNU is basically non-denomination, and so they don't encourage communication with angels or anything like that, or suggest that. Have you ever been anywhere where they've suggested?
In the Christian spiritualist churches, yes, because they are they are heavily influenced still by Christian beliefs, so they will talk more reverently about God. I'm not saying yes and you don't. They will be talking more openly about God, and they'll be talking about angels. So there's a flavouring of the Bible. So when you go to a Christian spiritualist church, they can be just as welcoming as the SNU. In most spiritualist churches, whichever trappings that they choose to follow, they're all welcoming. And it puts over the Christian spiritualist church, really does bring over. It's basically the Bible, putting it together. We can communicate with the spirit side of life because Jesus lets us. That's their sort of premise. Because they still believe largely in the tenets of the Bible, i.e., when we pass over, we go into a state of rest, and then we're all woke up in the second coming, where Jesus judges us. Where the SNU are saying no, there's a continuous life. We evolve after physical death. We're still in the spirit world, and we can still ably talk, communicate with our loved ones. There isn't relevance of because God lets us. There isn't relevance. The angels bring us down. They allow this, that, and the other. So really, angels in spiritualism, other than Christian spiritualism, are not talked about.
I think from my point of view, when I obviously I've been to spiritualist churches and I've been taught in spiritualist churches, and what I noticed was certainly in the 80s and sort of latter 90s, there was more of this discussion about whether we have guardian angels. And I always remember one particular teacher taking a circle, and I used to attend regularly. Every one of us has a guardian angel that looks out for us, but makes sure that nothing happens to us. And if things happen or anything, we're not taking notice of that particular guardian angel. And when I asked them about who that guardian angel was, they said, well, it could be a family member, it could be an ancestor, it could be that sort of thing. I always felt that was a confusion between a spirit guide and then kind of elevating what it actually can do as well. And we've both talked that a spirit guide isn't necessarily a guardian angel. Yes, I know you've had an experience where you was given a message or given a symbol by your guide while you was driving at night, and obviously it helped you not have a crash.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't call that person a guardian angel. That spirit, you wouldn't call them that. They were just your spirit guide, weren't they?
I have never seen an angel. I've never seen a spiritual form represented, with wings. I just haven't. Whether that is because my belief doesn't hold it, and it could be influenced in the sense that because my sort of belief is within angels, is totally within the Bible, which I choose not to follow, then maybe maybe that might stop me from seeing them. But I just don't get the sense, because I see spirit very, very clearly. I'm very fortunate in that way, and not once have I seen a spirit person guide coming over with wings. It just doesn't sit with me, to be honest.
I mean, that's my sort of issue. I mean, Ian, you know sort of my background in that.
Yes.
I kind of, I mean, I look into magical belief systems. Yeah. So some people use the term occult. I don't like using that term because it has so many negative aspects. But I'm interested in how belief and how various systems have arisen over the years, the mythologies and the texts from Kabbalah to, kind of across the whole sort of spectrum, really. I'm interested in how things kind of progressed. So I'm very much into understand how various things have developed. And I mean, me, I'm always one of those people who have to find the original text. It's like what for the last 2 years, I've been concentrating on chakras, and I've had to go right back to the first ever text. And I found the academic who found the first text, and I even double checked with him his translation of the original text. Yeah. That's how bad I am with. I have to get the original text. So
I don't think it's bad though, Matt, and I think it's good. And like I say, I think it's one of the things I really do like about you. You're very, very thorough, and you really like to know the understanding of it. It's what makes you so learned.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. And it's so for me, I saw guardian angels kind of developing and in the spiritualist churches and on ground level, and a lot of it seemed to happen at the late 90s, and then in the early 2000s when the internet became far more widespread and far more accessible for people. I don't know about you, Ian, but I used to see a lot of photographs shared where it showed angelic pictures or seemingly pareidolia. I can never say the word, pareidolia.
Yeah.
Where you have some clouds and it happens to be in the shape of an angel, or you see a car crash or something quite disturbing like that, and there is an angel in the fire or something like that. And I think, even if I remember correctly, there was even something to do with the 9/11 incident.
There was one. Yeah, there was one. And similar fell as well.
What has happened is that, along with Doreen Virtue, and Doreen Virtue had a massive influence on the New Age industry and as a whole. So other people basically copied what she was doing and continued. In fact, I mean, there's even new people this year who've brought out angel-related texts. Yeah, there's a number of English authors who are doing exactly the same thing. And I think I had a laugh with you the other day where they were suggesting that Angel Samuel was a female, when the Angel Samuel, all the way through Hebrew and rabbinic literature, is male and described as male and looking as male. And yet, apparently, if you talk to Samael, they can help you with shopping choices or something stupid like that.
I know you mean, but it is. It's. I think it's a lot of misunderstanding and jumping on the bandwagon without having any foreknowledge, or as a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people just choose not to do any research. They take it for what it is because somebody else is said it.
This is the problem. Is there's been all of this filtering out there. And I see a lot of people. I'm on a number of Facebook groups. All the Facebook groups are currently talking about 1111 at the time. As somebody said the other day, I keep seeing the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, stop going into a school then. It's all over the walls. But it's silly things like that where it's filtered in and it's kind of stuck. And nobody seems to know why. So it's like, and I want to go through here, let's say pre-1900. So in this last 100 years, we've seen a development of, in fact, probably the last 20 years, shall we say, 20 to 30 years, we've seen people grow in this belief that they are able to ask Archangel Michael or Metatron or any of these angels and ask them to get involved in their physical life to help their financial situation or to help that. Okay. Now, apparently, if you meditate on a card or something like that, your wish will be answered, almost like a genie. Almost that if you keep saying, Michael, please give me this, it will come true. And lo and behold, Michael's listened to you and that sort of thing. I have a number of issues with that. On one half of me, I can see where folk magic works, and I can see where that you can work with. You can ask saints. I know particular people who work with saints or who work with particular deities or something like that. And they do things like petitioning, or they do things where it's a long drawn out period of doing things. It's not a case of ask and within 3 days, Archangel Michael has given you £1 million in the bank or something like that. And I think one of the issues, and this is the reason why I'm raising this, is what I'm not happy about is they're giving false hope. People like Doreen Virtue and them, that you can talk to Archangel Michael, you can talk to Metatron, you can talk to Samael or whatever, and get those people, get those energies to contact you. Before 1900, if we go back and say, right, okay, what did people in the 1600s used to do if they wanted to talk to Michael or if they wanted to talk any of the angels? Well, what we have to do is we have to go, let's say we go back to, 1535.
Yeah.
And we go to a magical text called Ars Paulina. It's apparently built on previous magical texts as well. And those magical texts are very much tied within Judaism and probably go back far earlier. So I would say that the content of these texts were kind of collated and changed and built upon until they were properly published or kind of released around 1530 to 1600. So we're talking, I'd say probably 700 years or 800 years of belief behind these particular magical texts, and they are still used today. Okay. I mean, I've got an excerpt here from the Ars Paulina, and it talks about the angels of the signs and the degrees. The Ars Paulina talks about every hour has an individual angel, and that angel is in charge of countless other smaller angels, if you know what I mean. So dukes. So they have a system like kings and dukes, and it scrolls down. So if I wanted to talk to Michael, the great angel, not only do I have to do a load of ceremonial magic to get myself even to a particular area, it says here, the first genie that belonged to the fiery region and is governed by Michael, the great angel, who is one of the chief messengers of God, okay, who is towards the south. Therefore, these genies are to be observed in the first hour of Sunday and at the 8th hour. So that means the only time I can communicate with St. Michael is the first hour of Sunday or the 8th hour, and also on the 3rd and 10th at night. Mm-hmm. I have to direct myself to that particular quarter, the southern quarter, and they will appear in royal apparel, holding scepters in their hand, riding a lion or a cockerel. Their robes are red and saffron colour and mostly comely. They assume the shape of a crowned queen and are very beautiful to behold. What all that is basically that if you're able to try to communicate with one of Michael's sub-angels, okay, not actually talking to Michael himself. Not only do you have to do a lot of ceremonial magic and preparation and really, kind of go to town, and then only will you then get one of his the sub-angels to kind of appear before you, and apparently they appear riding a lion or a cockerel. So the belief, sort of going back 600, 700, 800 years ago, was if you wanted to do this, wasn't a question of, oh, Michael, can you give me £500? It was literally that you had to do a really big magical operation to try and do this. It was something, that really, magical operations were often built really to stop people from doing them. There's obviously a very, very famous book called The Sacred Magician, and that's about a guy called William Bloom, who went into the southern Moroccan mountains, and he went there to perform what's called the Abramelin operation, and it allows you to connect to your higher guardian angel. Okay, and to do that is literally, it's a half a year ceremony. Where you literally have to be doing this every single day. It's torturous, and most people don't survive, and some people, when I mean survive, they just stop. People like Aleister Crowley only got halfway through before he went to Egypt, So even he didn't kind of get through the whole book to try and communicate with his higher guardian angel. And a lot of modern day writers say that any of us can just meditate and instantly we're connected to our higher guardian angel. Do you know what a higher guardian angel is?
No, I know people always say, "Oh, you can contact your higher self," and that, but I've heard the reference, but I've never fully understood what it is.
It's practically the same as almost. I would say almost. It's almost like part spirit guide. It's kind of. It's like an aspect of yourself. It's like what you want to actually achieve in yourself as much as anything. So I would say it's almost like a reflection of what you want to what you want to do.
Oh yeah, like I dare say, like linking to your own spirit within.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say. It's almost like if I remember correctly, I think it was Peter Carroll who wrote two influential works called Psychonaut and Liber Null, and he said that he believed that the higher guardian angel was a projection of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily an independent spiritual being, but it's a way of you being able to see what you want to achieve in life. Now, some people still, if you go back earlier to John Dee, which was the 16th century, again, he kind of sees the higher guardian angel as being, trying to contact Michael, Gabriel, or Raphael, or Uriel.
Yeah.
But again, John Dee did that with ceremonial magic. Did that with he actually used a medium or channeler to do that as well, a guy called Edward Kelly. So there's always been ways of means of doing this, and the ways and means don't just include sitting down and asking Michael to do it, or asking whoever, which angel. And I see a lot of people who actually have Michael as their spirit guide, which is really bizarre because actually Michael is not the most well known of angels as it is. Even though St. Michael, you've probably seen lots of churches with St. Michael, you've heard of the term Archangel Michael, which again, he's only mentioned as an archangel in the book of Revelation. The issue I have with using Michael or Metatron, let's say you are Christian, let's say that you believe in the angels and you believe in the pantheon of the angels, and which is fine. I don't have any issues with that. It's people believing that they have communications with these people. But let's say you believe in all of that, then okay, then that means you've also got to believe in the Old Testament and also the New Testament, and you have to say, okay, what those people stand for. So Saint Michael, okay, he's seen as a protector of Israel. Now, not the Israel as we see now.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's also seen that he's the person who will arise at the time of the end, so at the end of the world. Now, if we jump right to the end of the Bible, the New Testament, we have Michael fighting and defeating Satan, Satan is thrown to earth along with the fallen angels, and he tries to lead the world astray. And it's only in the book of Revelation that Michael is actually referred to an archangel, which is like a higher level, basically. Now, the problem is with all of this is the book of Revelation is a visionary text. I think the whole thing is an allegory, really, about the battle between good and evil. Nobody knows for sure who actually wrote that. There's various theories and ideas of who actually wrote the book of Revelation. But again, Saint Michael is not how he's portrayed by Doreen Virtue or how he's portrayed by a lot of modern interpreters of who Saint Michael is. I mean, I'm going to type in Saint Michael and type in Doreen Virtue, okay?
Yeah.
So we've just heard that Saint Michael is kind of a right-hand man, okay? He is someone who was originally the protector of Israel, and apparently at the end times he will come back there. In Doreen Virtue's world, and what she's telling millions of people, or was telling millions of people, is that he's a powerful protector who helps everyone who calls upon him. Now, I have an issue with that. Well, hang on a minute. How has he gone from protecting Israel, or now we're not talking about the modern day Israel, we're talking about the Hebrew Israel. How has he gone from that to this? And it's Doreen Virtue's interpretation. She's essentially taken one idea. She believes that she's channeled or communicated with Michael, and apparently with Archangel Michael, you can do feng shui. It says here that Michael has protected people while driving, guided their career, and safeguarded their children, and even reveals his little-known talents for repairing mechanical and electrical machines. So Michael is not only a guardian angel, but apparently he can fix your iPad when it breaks.
Yeah. Belief is a very, very powerful tool, but when it comes with blind, it's okay, Michael will fix this, or Saint Michael or Archangel Michael, when it isn't the case. And I do feel there's a very thin edge there, you know what I mean, as in sort of just like I say, following blindly. It comes over to ignorance, not ignorant as in not knowing anything, not ignorant as being sort of standoffish and rude, but in the sense of just being blind, you know what I mean. I do feel it's a dangerous thing.
I think so, and I think a lot of this is misunderstanding. I don't have any issues with the existence of angels. Okay, so firstly, I believe in a hell of a lot of weird things, and to me, angels that I have physical interest in, how they're portrayed in the ancient text, that intrigues me and makes me wonder whether we're talking about some ancient humanity or something, the description were these powerful beings or something that came to Earth, or I'm interested in the theories behind that, or actually are they actually powerful beings that do exist in the cosmos, and I've always said to you, and we both believe this, that the universe is consciousness, and so the existence of Archangel Michael, I'm not ruling it out by any moment, and if you believe that he is protecting you, then and it gives you hope, and it gives you a sense of satisfaction or feeling safe, then that's really good as well. But the reason why I wanted to discuss this is that I've seen a lot of people now saying my guide is Archangel Michael, it's Metatron, it's Samael, it's Uriel, it's Raphael or something like that. And most of these people will not have done the research of who that person was, where their references are, or whatever they are. Okay. And I think, secondly, this is the big point, and this is what we both wanted to talk about today, is the other point is that I think a lot of people are misconstruing their own spirit guide for being an angel. Now listen to this, what Doreen Virtue writes. Now, what does this sound like to you? That night, my son was away at a sleepover. I got into bed and closed my eyes. It was time. The room was icy cold and the whole house was twitchy and tense as always. Not sure what to do next, I simply said a prayer to Archangel Michael, appealing for help. He instantly appeared in my mind's eye as a tall, fiery figure. I actually felt his warmth fill the room and was immediately comforted by his presence. She goes on to say that when he appeared in front of her, then she saw basically Michael shielded her from what she believed to be negative energies or souls or ghosts or whatever you want.
Yeah.
And they moved away from her. And since then, she was really connected with the Archangel Michael. Now, I think what's happened here is actually, it's either number one, a piece of fiction, or secondly, what's actually happened is she's communicated with her spirit guide for the first time. And the spirit guide has appeared to her in a way, but she says earlier that she was in a bookshop and she saw an image of St. Michael. So that's already in her mind's eye. And when she needed help, when she was in that apparently a haunted house, and she needed help, Michael appeared before her. And to me, that sounds like her spirit guide did come forward, appeared to her as Michael, so that she wouldn't be scared of his or her appearance for the first time. I mean, that's what happens, isn't it, Norman?
Yes, it is. As I was mentioning, I see spirit very, very clearly, and not once have they come over towards me as they would do in the film The Sixth Sense, with half the face hanging off. Sorry for being a little bit off the cuff there. Spirit will show us themselves, in who they are, in what is real, but also in what is of comfort to us. One of my guides, a female guide, who normally comes over in a very light azure dress that seems to me to be almost like waving. It's a very light chiffon or silk, and it's sort of as if it's caught in the wind, not in a ghost like, but it's just in that fabric. But never have I seen her as an angel or anything. She's a very, very beautiful woman. Your guide will often accompany you. Now, this is something that's just been mentioned to me. You can be, for instance, you ask out or for help, I'm feeling nervous, there's somebody here. Your guide will turn up, but normally you may well see your loved one, whether your mum, your nana, your dad, your brother, your sister, and you feel comforted, but your guide is there. You know what I mean? So it tends to then, that could lead to my nana is my guide, which spirit, your family members, your loved ones, show a vested interest and they want to help you. So your guide is there, but coming through in a way that brings comfort.
Yeah, and also as well is I've got medium friends who are Christian. I've got medium friends who are pagan. The differences between them are only slight, where some of the Christian mediums, they may have guides who are often Christian. They might see them as being slightly angelic, or maybe, kind of quite bright, maybe surrounded by light, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Where some of my pagan friends, they have more sort of earthy, kind of green, sort of eco sort of guides. I mean, to me, I think it's probably the greatest compliment that guides are not only willing to connect, but also they ensure that your appearance relates to you in some way. And I think I always remember with my own guide with Joseph, I always felt his coat first. I always knew, if I knew he was around, I could feel this thick, heavy coat, and I knew he was around. And I keep thinking, well, why is that? What was that? And I think it was a way of connecting. It was the best way to connect with me was actually to feel a sense of warmth and feeling secure, and that's it. And that's how he was able to connect with me straight away. And there's also Maurice Barbanel, isn't there, as well?
Yes.
Who was the founder and editor of the Psychic News.
He was, yeah.
And now his spirit guide was Silver Birch, apparently a Native American, and if I remember, he just had a single feather. They produced countless books and with information from spirit, and it's worth checking out, actually.
Yeah, it's a Silver Birch.
Yeah, but Silver Birch actually turned out not actually to be a Native American.
It's documented in one of his books where he states about he took on the guise of a Native American because his medium, in this case Maurice Barbanel, had a great reverence for the Native American culture, the people, so therefore he took on that guise. And interestingly, when you read Silver Birch's books, there's a very strong Christian element in there, so the chances are he was a Christian person whilst in the physical form and not of a Native American culture.
Do you know, all of this reminds me of What Will Dreams Come?
Yes,
that film
of What Dreams May Come.
Yeah, with Robin Williams, where Actually, it's a major spoiler, so I hope you've seen it. But
Yeah, it's a beautiful film.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film, and it really is a stunning piece of work, and I do recommend that you do check it out. But it's interesting because an aspect of that is what we take on board the appearance of our guides or angels could actually be something very, very different, and that film really sums that up as well.
It does.
So I hope that clears up for people out there. It's not an attack on angels. It's not an attack on anybody's particular beliefs or anything like that. But if you do believe that you are connecting with angels and you are connecting, or you do believe that you can connect instantly and they will help you out and things happen, I do suggest that you do further meditation and further exercises in which you can connect better with your own guide. Because I think with all of these cases, they're actually your guide who's coming forward and giving you that information or giving you that guidance, and they're appearing to you, or you may be sensing them as being angelic in nature, when actually it's your guide. And if they have done something for you, then that's incredible, and you can't take that away.
No.
But what you do need to do is build your communication better, so that you are actually communicating with your guide on an even playing field, rather than believing that this guide is actually something that they're probably not.
Yeah. One of the things that I can, echo your statements there, Martin, but, when you have a firm foundation with your guide, it's beautiful. I always call my guides my friends, because that is what they actually become, and it's great. It's just like having a very good friend in the physical world, where you can talk. They give you guidance, to help. They sometimes guide you in a positive manner. It's a beautiful experience, having feeling that love which is freely radiated towards you, and with the best intent of you. Oh, you shouldn't have done that, or perhaps you should think about doing this. Never telling you do this, do that. You can't. But it's just beautiful, because you can build a rapport up. You get to know about that person's life as they want to know and do know about yours. And it's a shared common experience. It's beautiful. It really is.
Great words there, Ian. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. It is having an extra friend or extra friends around you. And it's about feeling, I suppose I like to call them a spiritual support team, shall we say, if you want to get all modern on this.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope we've not rambled on too much for you, everybody. Thank you very much for all your support. If you've got any questions, please drop us an email. We're very happy to discuss further any of our topics on our podcast.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also join us on our Facebook page as well. We're very active on there. We always like to post, and we also like to hear your experiences as well. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Ian, as well.
Yeah, thank you too, Martin, and best wishes to everybody.